Here we're going to look at how the video functions and the options around that. So we'll see here for start. The first thing is you can make the screen as big or as small as you want. And as you're going to see here, if you click here, you can go on to full screen. And in all different sections, you can actually work on your full screen. Your option to use whatever you want to use will come up over here, like here, for example. So with that, we're going to look at the actual options on the screen. So the first thing you would do is, and this makes it quite idiot proof really, you don't need to have any technological background or know-how whatsoever. So we have here one single video of the All-Ireland final. It's not in two different halves, it's just in one half. And I'll show you how this will work. So we'll find the start of the video. There's a minute and 10 seconds. We'll just go back a little bit and back again. Right, so the ball has been thrown in there, and what we would do here, the first thing is we've actually missed that by a second, so we're going to go back here by a second and we would press start half one. Now you're going to see the significance of start half one because we're now in the first minute, and if for the sake of argument I clicked up here Stephen Cluxton and he had a neutral play in possession, you'll see that that got recorded in the first minute. So that's the significance of that. When you get to the second half, you'll do the same thing. You'll see it here. And again, ready to throw the ball in there and start half two. The first one already been started, which is why it didn't come up. Again, let's watch here. Stephen Cluxton, neutral. And there you go, 36, neutral. It's the first minute of the second half. So there's those options. Now, on top of that, you'll see here, you'll see switch video part, which we'll look at in a minute, because you'll only use that if you have two different videos, i.e. you'd recorded the first half and the second half separately, and you didn't have a video editor put it all together for you. Now, you'll see here there's still 5 buttons to look at. So, we've alluded to the first one here already. Each of these brings the video back by 1 second. So let's say for the sake of argument, I missed that free, I wanted to go back and see it. I don't have to start messing around with scrollers. Go back here, click it a few times, and there's our free, and we're back to the place, back to the point, and there we go, like that. Go back again, there we are, and press play. Simple as that. You can always also move forward, though typically it doesn't have as much use as going backwards. Now you'll see here also we have 0.5, 1 and 2, and what that does is it allows you to speed up or slow down the video to different speeds at the click of a button. So here, for example, ball's out of play. Let's say we don't need to know what's going on at the moment. Click, multiply by 2, we're on double speed. And now we want to go back to normal time, and we're back to 1. And let's say we want to see this piece in slow motion, it's down to 0.5. And as you use the program, you'll see that there are various points where you want to be at full speed, half speed, or sped up. And that just makes it extremely efficient to use. Now, what you'll see when you go into your options here is you can change that from anything from half a second, 0.5, up to 10. So let's say we try 11 here. Never just click X, always click OK or it won't save. Please enter video speeds between 0.5 and 10. So OK, so I'll enter 10 times and OK. And you'll see now that when we go in, the option here is for 10 times, and we can now speed the video up by 10 times. No matter what video you're using, it should function properly from 0.5 to 2. Depending after that, it will always work at the speed that it says, but it may skip frames. Like here, for example, because this is downloaded from the internet, it's going at 10 speed, but it is skipping frames. So that may or may not be useful, depending on what piece of information you want. But it will always go up as far as 2 times. That is assuming that you've recorded an MP4 or AVI. In something like MTS, for example, some of those functions wouldn't use. So broadly speaking, if you're recording your own game, always good to have it in MP4 format. So that's all of those buttons there, except for start timer, and I'm going to show you where start timer applies. Let's say we had a dead ball, and okay, so we're going to go to this one here. We've recorded it already, but for the sake of argument, I'm going to delete it. So let's say I hadn't taken that, that's a free, it's a wide angle. So in the case of a lot of these, you're clicking as the action goes, but with something like dead ball, which is to say freeze or zonal kickouts, you know that he's about to kick the free, so you can actually press start timer to record in advance, something which we're going to see in a minute. And when you go back on your video, it's going to start recording from the time you've pressed start timer. Important to note as well, you can press it twice if you've pressed it a bit early, and it will go back. It will record from the second time you click it, or the most recent time. You would now be recording that. It was a wide angle free, it was a wide. You'll go in here again, you'll look at this again in your dead ball section, and you'll click there and you're left with your map. That's another day's work, but it just shows you for now that start timer button on the screen, that's what that's for. Again, as you look at as you look at the videos on the different sections, you'll see the significance of that. Switch video part, again, you'll see here, if we go into the Vince's Ballymun game, which I have here, and you'll see here my options. I actually used 2 different videos for that game, the first half and the second half. So if I just wanted to go to the second half straight away, switch video part, and I've gone to the second half. Switch video part, I'm gone back to the start. So they're all the basic functions that you'll find on screen. So we're going to go back here to the Dublin Mayo All-Ireland final, and we'll see 1 or 2 small things. So again, it's gone back to the start of the game. So we now have our timeline done based on the fact that we started at the right time. So at this stage, if I want to get back to the start of the game, I'll get first minute, and there we are. That wasn't actually part of the game, that's what I just did now for demonstration. So there we go. So you have your timeline here, whatever it is. You see possessions here, you can move across your timeline, and you'll see here, for example, let's take a look at Johnny Cooper. So in the 2nd minute he was fouled for a free, 10th minute he made a neutral play, 14th mildly positive, 17 neutral, 20 neutral, 21st mildly positive, so on and so forth. And that will give you your timeline on everything. There's your zonal kickouts. So Dublin played their first one to the half back line, more than 11.5 seconds. First minute they won it, but they conceded a point on the turnover, so on so forth. So we go back into our options, and 1 or 2 things to look at here. If we wanted to use a different video, we would just go change, and then you'll find you go into your local file, your Dropbox, or wherever it is you want to find your video. You'll click that the same as you would upload anything anywhere or open anything anywhere, and that will send that video into that game, and it will save there. So anytime you reopen that game, that video will come up. And it is one of the real advantages of GA Pro Stats. You don't have to upload the game into the program. It'll just connect automatically when you press change game. Simple as that. Now, a few more things here. You'll see here, pause video while selecting type. So you have the option here for something that you want that might be going quite fast. We'll put this on full screen mode for a minute, and we'll go into possessions. And again, if for the sake of argument I wanted to press here, we'll say Stephen Cluxton again for the sake of argument, neutral. Again, I've just committed the cardinal sin, which is that I pressed X, I didn't press OK. Sorry, so pause video event, yes. OK. Now we'll press it, play it, we'll put it on full screen. So Stephen Cluxton, it's paused automatically. I'll click my neutral, and I'm going to need to press play again. Again, as you get used to the program, you will see the benefits of using that quite significantly. I'll delete that as well. Now, alternatively, you could say yes and unpause after I select. Again, you can. It does exactly what it says on the tin. You can see where this is going. So let's say I was on full screen again. Press play, and I record something. Stephen Cluxton. It pauses as I press neutral. It records the information, and it goes again. Again, the obvious final option is no, which I would frequently use myself, depending on what you're doing. And then it will just play. You'll have to stop and start it yourself if you wanted to stop and start. Looking down here, video recording options. So you'll see each one of these sections correlates to one of these. And what this basically does is, let's say we're looking at possession. So at the end of every game, or at any point during the game for that matter, I could press here, Stephen Cluxton, save video. That will save a video for everything in this column here, which in this case is all of Stephen Cluxton's possessions of the game. Now, what this does, options, is possession, start recording 12 seconds before you record the action in the program, and click here, your video will run for 3 seconds afterward. You could change that to 6 if you wanted, you could change it to anything. I generally find 12 and 3 is good. So you're going to see here, now, even if you're working on the program during the game, at any point, if you click back to any of these pieces of information, it will go back to the video as according to that option. So you'll see here, this is going to be 12 seconds before Stephen Cluxton gets on the ball, and we'll put it on full screen and slow it right down so you see the key piece of action. There we are, and there's Stephen Cluxton on the ball, because we had pressed 12 seconds. 12 is ideal because a player might end up in possession for 7 or 8 or 9 seconds, and if you go for any less than that, you're going to miss the start of the possession. But just for the sake of it, we'll say here 4. We'll go OK, and you're going to see on this occasion I'm going to press the same piece of action again, but this time it's going to record from 4 seconds before he gets possession. So you'll see there, and here we are. So again, as I say, as you get used to the program, you'll find different ones that suit your different style of recording. But broadly speaking, for example, possession, I would personally go with 12 seconds. If you use start timer, obviously you can't use start timer for something like possession because you don't know who's going to get the ball next. So it always goes to this default. If you press start timer, it overwrites whatever is here, and the video will just play from start timer. One or two final things on that. You'll see here, add 2 seconds for possession, and what that does is, here we're on 12 seconds, but as you'll see, and again, if you're looking at the possession video, you'll see the significance of this as you record possessions. You've got your main options here, but these ones here, there's further options, but because you have to click an extra button or two, it might just take that second or two longer to click the information. So all of a sudden, if you were clicking one of these, it would be 2 seconds longer than your default setting, which was 12, so it would be 14 here. But you do have the option to turn that off. Add to OK. On top of that, down here we have make a sound when an event is recorded, so that's fairly self-explanatory. I tend to leave it, but it does have a value when you're working on full screen, which we're about to look at. And warn about recording kickouts without starting timer. If you don't use start timer on kickouts, it can cause some difficulty with the video if you haven't made preparations for it. So we'll go in here. We have that warn about kickouts. I'm terribly forgetful myself, so I like to use it. Let's say here we had a kickout for the sake of argument, zonal kickouts, and I'm going to say it was to the full back line inside 9.5 seconds, and it was 1. It's saying start timer button was not used for this kickout. Continue to save kickout event, no. And you can turn off that warning if you want. So instead I'll press start timer. Now you'd watch your event on the video, we'll say 1, and there your option comes up. You'd right click, but I'm actually going to delete it instead of actually putting any information into it. And the final thing here in this page is time for puckouts, time for kickouts. Again, in your zonal kickouts, you'll see the 6 categories: to the full back line, inside or after a certain amount of time, the same to the half back line, the same to midfield. You can actually change that, so I could say time for kickouts. These figures here are the ones that we at GA Pro Stats have found to be most significant, but if, for example, I thought 8 seconds to the full back line was more significant, I could do that, press OK, and it would save in there when I go back to my zonal kickouts. So that basically is the lay of the land, how you work different things. The final thing is here is the full screen mode. For a lot of pieces of information, you will find that the small screen is fine. If you were looking at your kickouts, you don't need to have a big screen, but if you're looking at possession analysis, you might find that you need a full screen to see the players. So in that case, you will see, if we look at our possessions here, you'll see you do have the option in all of the different sections that you can work it on full screen. Typically, it will take an extra click of a button. So if we were in small screen here and Stephen Cluxton, possession doesn't record dead balls. It record, but let's say Johnny Cooper here has a neutral play. It was just one click of the button and it was as simple as that. However, if I was on full screen, I could operate it from full screen, and Mick McCauley has the ball here, and you click his name, and then I have the pause when selecting second button. Let's say it was a neutral play again, and there you go, and it works like that. So as you'll see, it is quite user friendly and is completely set up for you to work it whatever way you want.